Last week, the Netherlands declared that some loot boxes are actually gambling, and they even gave companies an ultimatum to take them out of the game within about 8 weeks, or they're in big trouble, right? So that was a big bit of news last week, pretty significant. This is Pretty Good Gaming. My name's Mike Williams. This is Gareth Evans.
How's it going?
Well, there's a bit of an update because now Belgium have weighed in with a very similar declaration, if not stronger. Belgium declares loot boxes are gambling and therefore are illegal. Not only that, they say this. This is pretty huge. Publishers risk a prison sentence of up to 5 years and a fine of up to 800,000 euros if because of loot boxes, essentially, because they're exposing young children and young gamers to gambling-like mechanics, and that's essentially what it boils down to. Now, the Belgian Gambling Commission, the Belgian Gaming Commission looked at Star Wars, Battlefront 2, FIFA 18, Overwatch, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. They found that Star Wars was not in violation of the country's gambling legislation. Out of all those, that was the only one. And that was only because EA, of course, switched off the microtransactions. Because of all the uproar, they deactivated that before launch, essentially, so they never actually hit the market like that. So that was the only one that got away with it,
so you could say, being
the big one.
Yeah, because you could say the community did them a favour in that way, because we
in a way,
got up in arms about it, and they were like, all right, we'll turn it off. And we got, essentially, if we'd have just shut up, then maybe they'd have been jailed by now.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I think 5 years in prison for the publishers for doing this kind of thing. This is probably the strongest language I've actually seen that actually means something. This isn't someone saying there should be a 5-year prison sentence. This is the Gaming Commission saying this offence that has happened carries a 5-year prison sentence. So it is pretty huge. I mean, were you surprised by the kind of language that you're seeing here?
I'm surprised. Yes, I'm surprised. Do I think it's right? Probably. I think it's right. If this is the kind of thing that we've been preaching for.
I don't think we ever expected prison sentence, though, right? That is the bigger. You usually think fines, don't you? You usually expect like a monetary comeback, but they are talking here about custodial sentences for the people. And
when you're talking about publishers as well, you're talking about huge corporations, people who have loads of money in order to defend themselves in court or whatever. You're talking about people. Like big people in the industry, right? Who might be in the target.
At least influential, even if you don't know who they are. Belgium the Belgian Gaming Commission expressed particular concern about the effects of what a loot box is and that kind of gambling-like mechanic on young people. That is what they're really talking about here. Here's a quote from one of the people that have kind of released a statement on this from the Belgian Gaming Commission. "It is often children who come into contact with such systems, and we cannot allow that." That's essentially the essence of all this. It's the exposing it to youngsters, and that's kind of what we've been talking about a lot as well, isn't it? That's the kind of the problem, because you kind of play this, and as an adult you think that could be really addictive, and it is not very different to a slot machine. Surely there should be some laws about this. And then now countries are going, actually there are laws about this, and this is dangerously close to gambling. It essentially is gambling.
And let's look at one of the games involved, like FIFA 18.
That was a big one.
That is known for its what's the mode called? The Master
FIFA Ultimate Team.
Ultimate Team. And that's where you open card packs, and because it's so similar to like stickers or something, or card collectibles like when you were a kid, people, the defense for that often is, oh, does that mean I was gambling when I was a kid, opening sticker packs and stuff like that? Well, if you can trade the sticker that you get for thousands of pounds, then yes, that is essentially gambling, because what you're looking for, you're opening a pack looking for something that's more valuable than the cost of the pack, and if you get lucky, you get one that's really valuable and you can sell that on. That's essentially what they're trying to protect against here. That's what you can do in FIFA. If you didn't know that, you can trade, you can get really valuable shit in there and then trade it out. So that's where it becomes gambling, because you can get loads of money's worth just out of like a simple purchase.
So Belgian Minister of Justice Koen Geens says that now, as a result of their investigation, FIFA 18, Overwatch, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, the things going on in those games are therefore illegal in those countries, right? And the punishments that we mentioned earlier, the 5 years and the 800,000 euros, that can actually be doubled if it involves children or if it involves minors. So if the thing that is wrong, if the loot box or the gambling mechanic is exposed to a youngster and not illegally to an adult or whatever, then it can be double the punishment, which could be 10 years in prison. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable, really. And it is probably the heaviest language we've seen. What this means now in Europe as a knock-on of this, I'm not sure, because the European Union will look at the laws in these countries and things are generally kind of, they try to harmonise things and bring things to a level playing field. We're seeing that with GDPR, is it? The data protection laws that are coming into Europe, and the whole point of that is to improve data protection and level the playing field in Europe. So no matter where you are in Europe, the laws are kind of the same. And so the influence of this decision, and the Netherlands now, this is more than one country, it's going to be huge. You wonder what is going to happen to those countries. Are EA and Blizzard and those companies going to react? Are they going to take those mechanics out of their games, dial it down, put some protections in place for children somehow, or are they just going to pull out of those countries? Will they just pull out of Belgium and the Netherlands because it's not worth it for them? Like, how do they react to this?
Or slap an 18 rating on FIFA?
FIFA,
that's not going to happen, right?
I mean, well, you know,
they can't do that. They have to do something, because the threat
don't
is there
have
now.
fucking loot boxes in it. That's what.
I mean, get rid of the loot boxes is the obvious one for us, but if there's an opportunity for them to make money, they're going to think of some way of getting around this.
Yeah.
Like they did. They're going to use the clever lawyers and figure out some way. But like you said, this will have a knock-on effect. It will affect probably the most of Europe. Yeah. So that's a huge market for that they sell the games at. Yeah. Whether America take notice, that's completely different.
It's the environment that we're in now, isn't it? And it's the way the conversation goes now, isn't it? And just because the laws are in place in one country, and you think, oh, that's just Belgium, that's just the Netherlands. Well, this conversation spreads and grows, and we've already multiple times reported on that conversation happening in different states in America and stuff that are already looking at this kind of thing and looking at legislation for loot boxes. So Gaines says he actually requested the Belgian Gaming Commission to investigate video game loot boxes after Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is no surprise. That's something we already knew. All of these places around the world started having a look at them specifically because of Battlefront 2 and the massive backlash online to how that game was kind of planned by EA, but never actually followed through because they had to take the microtransactions out. But it was that game that was really the thing that kicked all this off. Yeah, absolutely. And again, the language is there from Gaines because of that Star Wars incident. The issue was, given the importance of the protection of minors and vulnerable players, he says that was very worrying. I'm just interested now to see how the industry reacts to this. I wonder how much longer genuinely loot boxes actually have, because this is strong language, it's serious stuff. They're going to have to find another way of making money out of it. I think, and that is the bottom line.
At the very least, just the term loot boxes now, and having them in games, having them associated with games, is a very toxic and very dangerous thing to do as a game developer. So we've seen recently the way that developers now are just completely turning away from loot boxes because they know it's going to get them bad press, or potentially get them bad press. Just that threat alone is enough to scare them. And this is great, right? This is what we wanted from the very start. We don't want loot boxes on our games. The only reason that they're there is to make the developers and the publishers more money, to kind of fleece us of our money when we've already paid for a game. They're not there for us, for our benefit, or to give us anything special, right? It's just there to make money. And so these dominoes that are falling since the EA Battlefront thing, it's fantastic for us as a community. It shows that there is power within the communities these days in gaming, and that we've made a difference, because from now on it will be different, and we've got ourselves to thank for that.
Eurogamer in their report on this say that Gaines clearly means business, and I actually really agree, because not only is the language very strong, but it feels like something feels like it's really set in with this one in particular. I feel like this is a serious move and a serious this is a big moment, I think, in the whole loot box conversation. So I'd be interested to see what you guys think of this down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Now there'll be another video on your screens in just a second if you want to watch that, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.